Hey there, hope you're doing fine. In that video I will talk about my Audio Reactive Effects number 2 package for Unreal Engine 5 and specifically for the update for UE 5.2 because now there are new things that I can use and I decided to update the pack. Okay, I didn't make any tutorial video for this asset pack yet, but if you want to get the basics, please watch the video of Audio Reactive FX without any number. That's the first pack, and I've explained things there, the basic concepts and how things work and how you can change up everything to your likings. But here we're gonna focus on the pack number 2. This is all about animated textures. So the particle effects use textures that are animated and like fractals here, for instance, or these kind of things. So everything is very 2D-ish, but in a 3D space. And also we have those space particles here. I will really quick go through all the assets, what you can do with them, and then talk about some general basic improvements. Okay, first we have the tools again for audio capture and audio playback and also texture sampling. Then the first effect here is layered shapes and mesh. So basically it's gonna be an eye like this here with the eyeball in the middle and the shape of the eye in the outside, and here we have other shapes as well. I'm not talking about that specifically. Okay, and then here you have a similar thing but with more complicated materials. So it's, you have, the material has a frame and also a pattern on the inside, and you can change that and note how they all react to the audio. So the animation reacts to the audio as well as the colors and the emissive values. And then here that's just expanding shapes, as they are called. They are really great for backgrounds. So take one of those, huge in the background of your video, that always looks good. Okay, then we have fractals that are on meshes. So what I usually use them for is not like that, not put them there, but go in the inside of that cube and use it as skyboxes. But they can also look great close up if you use it like that. Then more fractals, but not in 3D, but in 2D layered. And then we start with mandala shapes. So here you have those mandala things with particles that have shapes on them. Okay, that's interesting. By the way, you see if I go close here, it pops out of existence. If you have that, go here, type bounce and increase the bounce scale to 5 or higher value. That's the culling bounce. So the greater that is, the later the Niagara system will be culled out of existence. So if I now okay, see 10, and now I can see it. Okay, here we have that material on each particle, and the material is animated and the particles themselves. So there are a lot of variations that I've just recently added. One of my favorites is this sea star like thing. I really love that. And also new for the update. So you need 5.2 to get the update. Earlier versions from 5, they don't have the new things. I've also added a new version of that. It's slightly different, and you can now create these flower-like structures, and the material is a little bit more beautiful, and I have more variations added. So there's really already a lot that you can just use out of the box. And mandalas with simpler shapes, so circles or rectangles, diamonds, whatever. And here we have these things with animated textures on it. And then some tumbling 2D shapes. And the same in 3D, and then explosions that react to audio. So if they get a signal, particles are emitted. If no signal, nothing is emitted. You can control that. And then this is like a star field here, and like energy particles. Okay, maybe it's interesting to note that those that emit particles from audio work a little bit different than the others. So the other ones, those here are meant to be for looping animations. So you can create looping animations with those. When you use those here that emit particles, that's gonna be hard. So I know there are usual tricks to do that. So you need to do exactly that. Use tricks to get it looping. But for those here, you don't need those tricks. You can just create looping animations. Let's talk about the changes for the update. So I've updated internals of all the systems. So there are now those master parameters for most of them. So first one is animation speed, where you can simply set the speed of the animation. And here think in loops. So one means that one full loop of animation is done in one time step, usually 1 second, if you have the normal time scale. But if you want to control the animation from the sequencer, you can do so by checking animation manual, and then you can set it here. So that's a value from 0 to 1. You can, for instance, have a sine wave from 0 to 1 in the sequencer, or a sawtooth or something, or animate it however you want to. That's possible if you check this one here. Okay, then there is emissive. That's the global emissive value. If I change that to 0, okay, that's good that it's not black now, because now I can show something else. If you type in emissive, you get all emissive variables. So, and the emissive range is always between minimum and maximum. So the minimum is 0.1, so that's why we can still see something here. If I change that to 0, now it's black. For demo purpose, I leave it like that, and change this master emissive back to 1. And then we have emissive audio. That means how much of the audio, or how much does the emissive value depend on the audio. If you have 0, it's always full emissive, so it's always at emissive max. If I have 1, it's when there's no audio, it's at emissive minimum, and the audio pushes it to the max, basically. So now you can see that. and here that's the amount. So usually you need to tweak that a little bit too, but that's kind of the master control for that. Okay, and then we have the fade percentage. The fade percentage is used to fade out the object. So usually if you have like video VJ content, you simply fade out by alpha channel. You cannot do that here so easily, and that's why we need a way to fade out or let things vanish in a 3D way. And so all those effects have their fade in and fade out animations somehow, and with that fade percentage you trigger that. So it's a value in the range of -1 to +1, and if you want to fade it in, you drag it from -1 to 0, and then it's running like it's now. And if you want to fade it out, you drag it from 0 to +1, and then it's faded out. For some of them, fade in and fade out looks the same, but not always. And if you type in fade, you get all the values that let you style how it's fading in and out. And there is this fade value debug. If we check that, we can see how it's fading in and out. So it's coming here, fade in, and then fading out again. And so that's the fade out animation. And if I add radial, okay. So, and now we turn that off again. Okay, and the last one here is spectrum to animation. So, before I explain that, most of those systems have two spectrum analyzers. The first one listening to only one frequency, and that drives the animation. Like, if you get a signal, you pump the animation a little bit further. That's what this one is used for. And the second spectrum analyzer is for each particle individually. So each particle has its own frequency on the spectrum that defines the glow or animation of the single particle. So, and if we change that to 0, it's just normally animating. If we change it to 1, it's now only animating if it gets an audio signal. Let's type in spectrum. In general, just type in what you want to change and hope you find it, because there's so many parameters. Okay. Spectrum. Here, LVJ spectrum to animation. Now, if there is no signal, it doesn't animate at all. But if there is signal, it pushes the animation forward. And another important value is the threshold, or are the thresholds. There are one for the global spectrum analyzer that pushes the animation, and one for the individual ones that defines the emissive properties and so on. And the threshold means below this amount of audio nothing happens, so you can use that to filter noise. So 0.1 means if there is low frequency noise, low volume noise, it won't react to that. So it's really getting full black even if there is a little bit of noise. And then there is the decay. The decay is kind of the smoothing. So if I put that to 0, you see it's very flickery, reacting directly to the audio. And if I increase that, it's getting smoother. So, okay. And then there are a lot of spectrum 2 something values that let you route the spectrum information into properties of the particles. Okay, and that's it basically. So I hope you know how to use this now, and if you have questions, ask in the comments. And I hope you enjoy that and make some beautiful music videos with those assets. Have a nice day.